Hey guys! So, whenever we are working with the task of data science, machine learning and deep learning, the first thing that we have to perform is we have to get the required data. Now the thing is, whenever we wanted to get the required data, obviously it's not present at a single source, isn't it? So I can have a data in a on-premise server, and some part of data will be present inside my cloud database, and in some scenarios I'll be having data in a CSV file. So I can have a data in a S3 bucket, and as an example, or I can have a data in a let's say GitHub repository, or I can have a data from a CSV file, or I can have a data in an Excel file. So I can have a data from various sources. Now before I start doing any of this analysis, I have to first find a way to get this data from various sources and create it as a single data frame. So before I create it as a single data frame, so we have to first learn as how we can get the data from various sources. Now in this video, we are going to see as what are the various options that we have. We'll look at some of the common file types that we'll be coming across when we are performing this machine learning data science, and see how we can load those files, guys. Now here in the first case, we are going to understand as how we can load the data from my S3 bucket. Now here I'm creating my URL. So this is my URL where my CSV file is present. So this CSV file has been uploaded from my S3 bucket, guys. So I have already uploaded over here and have made it public just for the demonstration purpose. Obviously, when I'm writing the code using this dataset, I'll make sure that this dataset is available only for me. So not every production system will have the access open to the public, but for the demonstration purpose, I've made it open for now. Okay. So this is my S3 bucket where exactly my CSV file sits. And I'm trying to load this CSV file directly from this URL. So I'll just execute this cell. So this has loaded that particular CSV file, guys. So now that CSV file has been extracted from the Government of India website about COVID-19. So this is how the data set looks like. All right. Now here in the next line, here I'm trying to load the CSV file from the GitHub repository. So we'll say pd.read CSV, and inside the parenthesis we specify as where exactly that CSV file is present, and this is where the CSV file is present. Alright, now one thing that you always have to remember, guys, whenever you're representing the URL, at that time you have to represent that GitHub repository link which starts with raw. Okay, so when you're displaying those files, just click on the button of raw over there and you'll be able to get this URL over there from your browser and use that link to load directly in your notebook. So if I just execute this, so this time it has loaded the CSV file from my GitHub repository. Okay, now the next example that we have is how we can load the data directly from the Excel sheet. So Excel sheet, as we know, this is one of the common format where users would prefer to use because they can run the query, they can do some mathematical analysis over there, and it's one of the common way where people prefers to use when they are maintaining the accounts locally. Okay, and it's very important we understand as how we load these Excel sheets as well. Now to load the Excel sheets, we'll make use of Pandas library read_Excel function. Now if I open up the documentation, so this is the documentation of this read_Excel. So the first argument is IO, which represents the Excel file name. Okay, and the next argument which we would normally specify is the sheet name. That means what is the sheet that I want to load, because if you know, this Excel sheet or single Excel file can have multiple sheets. So if I want to load a specific sheet, then we can specify its sheet name as well. Now apart from that, I can specify the name, header, index, column, and if I want to use any column, I can specify those as well. So all these things, I'm having these as an optional one. We'll be using it as per our requirement. Now in this example, I'm loading this Excel file directly from this URL. So there is a website called samplevideos.com, and from this website I'm just loading an Excel file from that website. Okay, so I'm loading that file and I'm sending that URL inside my pd.read_Excel function. So as a result of this, see, this has loaded my data frame. If I display my data frame, this is how my data frame looks like. Okay, so I have just created a sample data frame from an example Excel file which I loaded from a third-party website. Okay, now the next format that we are going to see is how to load a JSON file and then create it as a data frame. Now, in order to read a JSON file, we make use of the function read_JSON. Now, in this example, I do not have a JSON file with me. So what I'm doing over here is I'm just creating a JSON file from my end. So I'll just execute this. So this is going to create a JSON file for me. Now, if I open this JSON file, so this is how my JSON file looks like. So I have my data in the format of a JSON format. Now we are going to load this JSON data as a data frame. Alright, so to save the data as a JSON file, we'll make use of the function to_JSON, and here I have mentioned as what is my JSON file name. So in this way I have saved my JSON. Now to read this JSON, we'll make use of the function read_JSON, and we can read the JSON as a data frame. Okay, now the next activity that we are going to see is we are going to learn as how can I load the data from my database. Now, in order to load the data from the database file, now the way that we are going to load is first we are going to import the Pandas library. So this is to create it as a data frame, and then from SQL Alchemy, I'm going to import this create engine. And after I import this create engine, I have to create an object for the SQL Alchemy. For that, I have mentioned as DB connection. This is the object that I'm creating, and inside this create engine I have to mention where exactly the file is present. So this will actually begin by the URI of SQLite, and this is followed by complete path where exactly my database file is present. Now in my example, the database file is present in my working directory, so I'm just mentioning it as sample.db. So this is going to create me a database connection object. Now, once that is done, if I want to access this database connection object and display its table name, so here I'm just calling this method of table_names. So once I execute this, so this is going to load the data from my sample database file, and various tables that we have over here is albums, artists, customers, employees, genres, and so on. So these are the various tables that we have inside this single database. Now, if I want to query this database, in such scenarios, I can just specify my SQL query. Now, for the example purpose, here I have mentioned as select star from albums. That means load everything from the table of albums. So this is the common SQL command that we know already. So I'm just loading everything from my albums, and as a second argument, I'm specifying my DB connection. That means what is this object that from which I want to perform this query. So once I just execute this, this has loaded the entire tables from my albums, and it has been created as a data frame, guys. Now for the example purpose, let's say if I want to load everything from the employees, then I can just write it like this. See, I have read the complete tables from this employees. Okay, that is my employees table, and then I have converted it into a Pandas data frame. So you have learned as how you can load the data from various file formats. Now what you can do after learning this, obviously, so you can go through various sources that you have and think as, okay, if I have a single data source from multiple file formats and multiple files, so how we can go about and combining those files so that you can derive the insights from it. So that will be your next step when it comes to machine learning. So first step is always getting the data into a right format. Now in this video, you have learned as how to get all the data from various formats into a single data frame. Now you can use this understanding and apply it on your own applications where you can use this understanding of creation of database and then combine all the data using our various Pandas library functions and start analyzing the data, guys. I hope this video has been helpful to you. So I'll see you next time with more such content. Thank you, guys.